streets.
Oh, but you wanted to live.
If I belong to the streets, then why are you so interested? Right, get a fact right before you start saying stuff.
Don't jamo me.
You're gonna say it to the group.
Yeah,
make sure you get your
there's a
facts
lack
straight.
of context.
The facts are...
Why?
Just because I felt like she was on me all the time.
I thought you...
I want to pretend to be confused and say I don't understand why people chose who they chose to go home, or do I disagree? I think I disagree more when it comes to AJ than I do when it comes to Charlie. Charlie was a toxic mess. He needed to go home. AJ, on her part, sadly was collateral damage because Shaq left her to the wolves and they devoured her because he didn't need to tell people that he wasn't feeling it with her. Had he kept his opinion to himself, then things would have been amazing and she might have been saved. And then the situation with Whitney and Shaq. I personally don't understand it. I feel there's a lot more that we're not finding out. I think there's a lot of tension that they've brought into the villa, that they've been trying to be cordial around one another, especially with what happened with his ex. And so the idea that Shaq went attack mode on Whitney like that, I didn't like it because she could have outed him all this time. So I didn't like it. The conversation started amazing. And then it just went left when Shaq felt like, Whitney was going to come out as the victim and he the villain. And he just went all guns blazing. Jess, I do not like how she behaved. I'm sorry. I do not like it. She is Whitney's friend. She's known Whitney the same amount of time as Scott has known her. If nothing else, when everyone else was calling Whitney, she should have been defending Whitney, not to put Whitney out to the wolves for them to devour her. I do not get it. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by to Girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars, Season 3, Episode 8. So we pick up with the islanders sitting at the fire pit. Maya Jama has come through. She reveals that the public have been voting for their favorite guy and favorite girl. And the favorite girl is Millie and the favorite boy is Scott. Oh my God. Charlie nearly burst the fuse because you could see his head overheating. You could see steam coming out of his ears because I don't think he expected it. And things just went downhill from that because after that, you had Maya reveal that, the girls who got the least votes were Jess, Whitney, and AJ. And the guys who got the least votes were Charlie, Sean, and Connor. This just made things worse for Charlie, because the person he had been going head to head with was favorite, and he was one of the least favorite. So I don't think he saw this coming. Maya went on to say that, okay, so the two favorite islanders get to pick who goes home. It's not the viewers, it's going to be the two favorite islanders. Scott had to pick the girl, and you had Millie having to pick the guy. I feel like production did this because they were trying to empower Millie because they could tell that this guy was no good for her. Anyway, Scott said, he's known Jess and Whitney for a very long time, so he's got a very strong friendship with them. And with AJ, he knows she's got a romantic connection. So he's conflicted in whether to go with his friends or to go with someone who's got a connection in the villa. He ended up choosing AJ to go home. AJ wasn't happy. She felt like it was a cop-out. I feel like Jess should have gone home at the end of the day because she doesn't have a romantic connection. And chances are highly unlikely that she'll get a connection in the villa. On her part, Millie said, she has a connection with Charlie. Her friend has got a connection with Sean. And she also is friends with Connor. So she's conflicted in who to pick. Eventually, she chose to send Charlie home. Charlie didn't see this coming. I think Charlie expected her to send Connor home. So the idea that she'd rather keep Connor around and send him home is something that came out of left field. He was fuming. Maya told him that you have 30 minutes to leave the villa, so pack your bags. And as everyone was saying goodbye, you had Millie walk up to, Charlie and say, I'm sorry for sending you home, but I really need to explain to you why I sent you home. He wasn't hearing it. He really wasn't there for it. He didn't want to hear it. He stormed off, and it's like, girl, just leave him alone. So they went to pack their bags. While they were packing their bags, Charlie was venting to the guys, and you had Shaq stand up and say, let me go and have a conversation with AJ. So he went and spoke to AJ and just said to her, I know we decided to take a step back and not be as physical, but I still didn't want you to go home. I think eventually with Charlie, he must have realized it wasn't a good look. So he then went and pulled Millie for a chat. Millie told him that, you were giving a lot of red flags. And so this was my concern. This is why I voted to send you home. He wasn't happy. Why didn't you tell me I was giving you red flags? Why didn't you tell me there was a concern? That's like you're a big man. You should have known this yourself. You didn't need someone to tell you that you're giving red flags. You didn't need someone. Anyway, Maya Jama was waiting for them by the door as they left, and they went for a post island interview. And Charlie was blindsided. He really felt he was blindsided. He sort of blamed people interfering in his coupling. He blamed Scott for sort of trying to sort of interfere in his connection. And it's like, but you take responsibility for your actions. Maybe before kissing Jess, you should have told your partner that this is what I'm going to do. Or maybe after you'd asked Jess for a kiss, you should have told Millie what you had done before you kissed her, not to wait until you've kissed her. So the idea that you are not blaming yourself in this whole situation and you're putting it on Scott doesn't make sense. I can't wait to hear his post interview, sort of his post villa interview when he does, Love Island morning after whatever. Because you're saying I don't get why she's saying I had red flags. We all could see them from day one. So I'm surprised you at your 31-year-old age didn't see them. And he was also saying, I don't get why people are upset because this is the road, this is what you expected to do on Love Island, to explore connections, and this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to explore connections. There is exploring, and then there's disrespectful. You were disrespectful. AJ, on her part, she said she understands that Shaq wanted to take a step back. She didn't feel like they were doing a lot of things, so she doesn't understand why she's been dumped. She felt like Scott was sort of Scott copped out in the sense that he picked her instead of picking one of the other girls. And I agree to that to some extent because I'm not a fan of Jess, never have been. And so I agree that maybe he should have picked Jess to go home because she doesn't have a connection in the villa. At least Whitney has two. She has none. So she could have gone home. In the villa, you have everyone was rattled. They were really rattled by the dumping. They couldn't understand why they were in the bottom. You had Whitney and Jess sort of mocking each other and saying, I know why you're in the bottom. I know why you. Well, Whitney was saying to Jess, I know why you're in the bottom, which means the viewers are upset with her for dumping Tommy. But she couldn't understand why she was in the bottom. Whitney, I think it's baggage from what happened on her last reality TV show where she mocked someone and people didn't like it. And I think she's just carried that back into the villa, and the fact that when she was on her series she was called smug or something, and I think this is the reason why people haven't warmed back up to her. All the islanders get ready for bed, they all go to sleep, and it's really interesting that people are still making out in bed. Obviously you have the single couples. I'm surprised Helena and Shaq didn't go and sleep outside, but then it looks like it's very windy and cold in South Africa, so I assume that's why they didn't go outside. In the morning, you have Sean and Kieran have a conversation, with Kieran sort of asking Sean, so who else are you open to exploring now that you and Belle have fell out? And he said, well, I really liked Sammy, but I can see that you two have a great thing going, so I don't want to interfere in that. So I'm just going to sort of sit down and reassess. I was like, I don't think any of the girls like you, Sean. I think they were humoring you, and now that they've seen that you don't come with any clout, they're even going to be irked by you. You're most likely going to be the next person sent home. So you have the islanders go for a debrief. You have Jess sit down on the terrace. She sits with Leanne and Whitney, and she's sort of saying, I've been truthful, I've been honest, so I don't understand why I was in the bottom. And the girls were saying to her, you just need to charge it to the game. You just need to ignore it and keep it stepping. Whitney, on her part, was saying, she's sort of conflicted because Connor is a safe option, whereas Jack is a bit sort of a risk. And so she doesn't know what to do, but she likes risk. I was like, what does she mean by Jack is a risk? I think she likes the idea that Jack might come with his dad's fan base, and that's maybe why she's more interested in him than she is with Connor. Connor is too sweet and too good for the girls on Love Island, in my opinion, and this is why I've always said that he needs to go to Love is Blind. On her part, Leanne is happy in a couple. She doesn't care about what's going on. She's happy. Scott was on the day beds, and he was saying he's surprised that Millie sent home her partner. Everyone is still rattled by the fact that she sent home her partner, which means she's single, and she would rather run the risk of going home than to couple up with someone that she really doesn't like. Which is like, oh my god. Kieran is happy in his connection with Sammy. He thinks that's good. You had Jack saying, he was asked how would you have felt if Connor had gone home, and he said, well, that would have helped me because then I wouldn't need to be in a love triangle. And it's like, okay, if that's what works for you, amazeballs. Connor, on his part, was having a conversation with Shaq, and he was saying to Shaq, with Whitney, things seem to be moving in the right direction. We're holding hands, we're happy. And so Shaq was trying to encourage him and say to him, Whitney's a slow burn. So if she's holding hands with you, that means things are doing great. So just continue to go the way you're going, and hopefully things will improve for you. The guys asked Shaq, you and Belle were dancing together when Blue came. Does that mean there's something there? I thought they had a great connection. I'm going to be honest. I thought they had a great connection, and I was pleasantly surprised when they chose to couple up with other people and never went back to it. I think Shaq is always looking for someone who will keep him in the villa, and he thought Helena would be it. Do I think she's a great partner for him? No, I don't. I really don't. Anyway, while the islanders are just hanging around the villa, Leanne receives a message. Leanne, it's time for you and Scott to head out on your first date. Please get ready to leave the villa. They were giddy, they were excited. Scott was happy. Scott is smitten. He really is smitten with Leanne. There's something about her that he likes. Anyway, so they got ready. Whitney helped her little sis get ready, which was really cute to watch. And then Scott came and picked her. And their colors were really coordinated. They really looked amazing as a couple. So I loved them as a pair. I thought they were the sweetest thing ever. You had Whitney sit down for a chat with Jack. I don't understand the connection between Whitney and Jack. It seems all they do is kiss. And whatever this man is doing when they're kissing, Whitney seems smitten. We haven't had any of their chats. If you are asked to say what is it about their chats that you like, I don't know. I really don't. So for them to move from the sun deck to go to the day beds, and then on the day bed, for him to continue to pester her for a kiss until she kissed him, I thought that wasn't uncalled for. I feel like Jack was doing that to sort of mark his territory and make Connor know that he is steps ahead. So that had me sort of questioning and sort of side-eyeing him. Millie then went and had a chat with Kieran and Sammy, and she was saying, I made the right choice for myself. I know he was my couple, but at the end of the day, I didn't like the way he was moving, and this is why I sent him home, because I didn't think he was it for me. Kieran then asked her, so is there someone else that you like in here? She said, well, I really like my chats with Scott, but the problem is he seemed to be wifed off. And it's like, madam, if you really liked Scott, you wouldn't have put up with everything this man was giving you. So the idea that suddenly you're interested in Scott is giving, you've noticed that he's the favorite guy, and so you want to win, so this is why you want to couple up with him. Scott and Leanne's date was cute. They went to a winery somewhere in South Africa. They had the mountains behind them, and it was really cute. I loved how excited they were to sit down and just have a conversation. You had Leanne say to him, I love that you're a man of your word. You have your beliefs and you have your opinions and you stand by them. I just don't want you to be interfering in people's drama and become a busybody. And it's like, I love that she's told him, she's given him a heads up. I don't want you to continue down this path. I need you to also remember that you're in a couple with me, so I am priority, not you interfering in everybody else's relationships, which is the cutest thing ever. Whitney had a conversation with Belle. They were talking about, Belle and what she was going to do. She said she liked Shaq. She really liked Shaq. I don't know. Everyone is commenting about her dancing on Shaq. I didn't get to see it. So they were having this chat with Whitney, and Whitney was saying, if you're really interested in Shaq, then pull him for a chat. And initially she had refused to pull him for a chat, but finally she agreed. So Whitney was trying to sort of give her a pep talk before she did it. Shaq was outside. He was busy chatting to Helena while Whitney was sort of getting Belle excited and hyped up. They went to the dressing room. They were all over the villa trying to sort of psych her up to eventually pull Shaq for a chat. Shaq was having a chat with Helena and just saying to her, I'm still open to getting to know you. I'm still open to getting to explore and grow our connection. They went to the mini fire pit. Whitney and Belle came and sat close to the mini fire pit until eventually they walked up to the mini fire pit so that she could pull Shaq for a chat. So she went there and she said, I'm trying my best to sort of appear as though there's nothing that I'm here for. But anyway, I'm here to pull Shaq. So she pulled Shaq. Helena said, I was surprised that you didn't pull him. I have a feeling Belle has liked Shaq, but the moment he coupled up with Helena, she didn't want to sort of cross her friendship with Helena. This is why she took a step back. Anyway, they went to the secret garden and were talking about their faith and their beliefs and how they're sort of planning their lives and moving in the villa. Because Shaq had already told the guys that if Helena is not a Christian, then that's the end of it, because he is very strong in his faith, because he was baptized in the same church with Tanya. So I get why he's saying, he's now become a very religious person. They spoke about a kiss and the fact that they wanted to respect Helena and not kiss. This had been discussed by Belle and Whitney before she went into the secret garden, because she told Whitney that I don't want to kiss him, but I want a private conversation. So I want to take him to the secret garden, but not to kiss him, but actually to have a chat away from prying eyes, which Makes sense. So in the secret garden, they both agreed that we're not going to kiss out of respect for Helena. We'll have a chat with her and then we'll see where we stand, which was good. I like them as a couple. I championed Shaq and Belle before, so I'm happy that he's sort of doing he's going back to where he started, a 360. So hey, it is what it is. He's doing a 180. Sorry, I love that. You then had this conversation between Connor and Whitney because they were having a chat, and so Connor was just trying to suss out where they stand. Do I think they have a romantic connection? No. I think there's a friendship there. That's it. I think there's a friendship. Sadly, they have decided, or Whitney has decided, that Connor is not, a strong part for her. So she would rather go with Jack because he will give her more mileage in the fella. That's the impression that I'm getting. I don't see a romantic spark between the two of them. We then went back to the date. Oh my God, Scott is smitten. He really is smitten. If this is how he is when he likes someone, amazing. Because he was telling Leanne that I really like you. I want to take you to North Wales. There are some secluded beaches and stuff. And she started giggling as soon as he said that. And it's like, okay. He asked, how will your family feel about me? Will they like me? And she said, yes. I think he's really nervous. It's always nerve-wracking when you're in an interracial relationship, let alone from two different cultural backgrounds. So I get why he was nervous. I love that she was very reassuring. And she said, we like a smart, educated king, which really made him blush. And it was really cute to watch. They really are a sweet couple. They really are a sweet couple. And you can see them sort of planning life outside of the villa. And I hate how Millie is now taking this opportunity to try and go after, Scott. I hope this is not the end of them. Even if Scott explores anything with Millie, I hope he's still very respectful to Leanne and remembers that that's his best connection, as he's told us time and time again. They came back to the villa, the little kiss before they went to change. They were smitten. They are smitten. And I think taking time away from everyone was good for them. Hopefully Scott remembers that. Because they then went to debrief with everyone. Everyone else was getting ready. And everyone is excited for them because they can see that they're actually growing something that's natural, something that appears authentic and real. So I love it. Anyway, while the islanders were getting ready, you had the guys sort of asking each other, where do you stand in your connection? Scott, we know he's smitten. He really is. Shaq is now sort of leaning towards Belle. I think he's liked Belle more than he's liked Helena, but was content with staying with Helena until Belle opened up. Now that she's opened up, you can see that he's ready to sort of jump ship. I love that when you had Shaq try and make an inappropriate joke about saying, "Oh, can you rate the kisses? How many kisses do you have?" You had Kieran immediately shut it down. Immediately. I loved that. I really did. Anyway, the islanders got ready. They went, they picked up their drinks. And then you had Kieran and Scott have a conversation. So Kieran was telling Scott that, he had a chat with Millie, and Millie told him that, she wants to explore something with him. And he said, initially we were flirty, but Leanne and I have progressed very far. So Kieran was trying to understand that. So what are you going to do? Are you going to tell Leanne or what? And I love that Scott said, Millie is the one who needs to go and speak to Leanne and let Leanne know that this is what she wants to do. But what I'm going to tell you is, as soon as she has a chat with me, I'm going to run and debrief with Leanne. And it's like, oh my God, so what's the point? Why not just have a three-way conversation? Because this girl will never know peace. He's already said it, that there's no one who can sort of reach the point at which he and Leanne are at. So the idea that everybody else is now starting to say that, Millie, I don't get it. You had Shaq having a conversation with the group on the daybeds, saying that, he really likes his connection with Belle, he likes how things are going, and he wants to continue to explore that, but he also likes his connection with Helena. And while they were having this chat, he sort of was asked, how would you feel if Helena was pulled by Connor? And for Whitney to say, who's Connor? I think she was absent-minded, or she just said it just because she was trying to show people that she's really not thinking him, or she was trying to reassure Jack because he had joined the group. I didn't quite get that. You had Shaq and Belle go to the fire pit. They were having their flirty conversation. I think they're smitten. I think they make a really cute couple, and I hope they continue to explore that because they share a lot of values and beliefs. So I think that would be his best option. You then had Jess call for everyone to come and do a Never Have I Ever. I think production told her to call it out, and this is why everybody went to the fire pit. So Jess was the first one with Never Have I Had a Threesome. You had Shaq's drink. People would drink, and then they were asked. Shaq said he had the threesome because it was 2 boys and 2 girls, so it wasn't him and 2 girls or 2 boys and 1 girl. Kieran said Scott is laughing because Scott knows about it. I didn't realize they were that close a friend before they came into the villa because he said, anyway, I changed the sheets because Scott said, I wanted to know that I wasn't there when this three-way took place. So whatever they did, I wasn't there. So let's make that clear. And it's like, oh my God, I love this friendship. Helena said she and a friend really liked a guy. So they, were in a threesome with him. And the girls had to call her out to say, oh, this is why you're very laid back and you're not bothered about sharing. Said, oh, that's the one below the belt. Shaq said, never ever been in a couple. I wish I wasn't. Millie said when she was in a couple with Connor and Charlie, she didn't want to be in a couple with them. Belle said when she was in a couple with Jack, she wanted to be in a couple with Sean. And I was like, okay. Belle then asked, never have I wanted to kiss someone I wasn't in a couple with. Whitney said, she's never wanted to kiss Jack, I think she said. Belle said Sean, she's wanted to kiss Sean because he has amazing lips. And it's like, oh, this is messy. This is really messy. I don't get it. Connor then asked, never have I wanted to kiss someone in bed, but didn't. Connor drank his drink. I assume he was doing it for Whitney. You had Shaq drink his drink and he said he wanted to kiss Helena. And it's like, this is becoming messy. This is really becoming messy. Because then you had, Helena sort of whisper to Sammy to say, never have I wanted like someone else to go to home than the person that went home. And there were a couple of people that drank. I don't remember the answers to that. That's when all hell started to break loose because of all of that. And then you had Kieran, never ever forgotten someone else's name. Things went left after this. Things went left after this because you had Jess trying to poke and prod at Whitney. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because when the kiss question came up, you had, Shaq sort of say, he hasn't wanted to kiss someone because he was in a couple with Helena and he wanted to be respectful to Helena. Whatever nonsense that was about, this is what I'm going to say. Shaq and Whitney's conversation was fine until Whitney stood up. That's when things went left because Shaq realized, because he was trying to sort of cut her off, and I think he thought by over talking her or by using a stern voice she would keep quiet, and him sort of being more sensitive in how he spoke to Sam is what made things more explosive. And when Whitney walked off, he realized that he was wrong and what he had done was wrong, and this is why he decided to sort of try and paint Whitney as the villain, which isn't a good look, especially when you know some of the edits that people of color get on Love Island. I didn't like that. I felt that it was inappropriate. I felt that was below the belt and he could have done better. For Jess to try and pretend like she was playing a game, I didn't like it. She threw her friend under the bus. It wasn't called for. It wasn't necessary. And so I am side-eyeing her. I'm surprised Whitney agreed to come back with her because Jess was always a leech. She was always leeching off with Catherine and Whitney. She really wasn't friends with them until she realized that they were the popular girls. And so I don't get why she felt the need to throw her friend under the bus. I really don't. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 7. Bye everyone.